Good day, everyone. Welcome back to another fantastic interview here on the YouTube channel. We're still talking Spartan Games. Today is going to be Grant McCartney, but first, today's interview is sponsored by Inside Tracker because change is an inside job. Transform your body's data into science-backed action plans. I had a whole episode about this, and not just because they are a sponsor. I did a whole interview with Jason Jacksetic. He used to work at Spartan. We're old pals. He works there now, and we learned an awful lot about my body and how to improve and how to maximize and how to be more efficient and all that great stuff, how my body breaks things down, what my DNA tells me about how I perform. So get yourself Inside Tracker. Do it for yourself for the holidays. Do it for a friend. I've had people reach out to me and say, I want to do this for a friend. Absolutely, you can do that. 30% off with their discount. That's a big, fat discount code, ORM. We'll link that stuff in the notes. Yesterday, we played you Corinna's interview from day 3, and here is Grant talking to us about his day, about 20 minutes worth. I like to give you a heads up on how long this thing is, about 20 minutes worth of Grant and I. Away we go. Speaking of great attitudes, I want to say that watching the third episode last night, one of the things that struck me was, I don't know if they're giving MVP trophies out at the end of this thing.
Oh yeah.
But I want to say,
not.
but and a massive check to go with it. But I want to say you and Wardy and both, to me, are like we don't know what this is, but we're just going to give it our best no matter what. And I think that is a powerful thing.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Big Papa Wards. He is the man. I met him there. Of course, I met everyone there. I don't know anyone before, right? Dude is a legend. I mean, attitude's unbelievable. Just, I would tell stories on him, but I'd rather him be here before I tell some of them. But it's just, man is a legend. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, he's like this 78-pound noodle.
Yeah.
But every event, no matter what it is, he's like, all right, let's go for it.
Let's hammer time.
And I got to say, that's not the case with all the athletes.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah, a lot of people get to like, oh, well, everyone had something to argue about. And then I didn't argue, but I wanted to say, first off, everyone here, at least you have one thing you specialize in. None of this is my game. I don't run endurance. I don't do strength. I don't even get to do the obstacles like I wanted. Like the one time we had obstacles, the way that I would cheat them doesn't save but maybe 1 second to do the obstacles better and more efficient. And then there's 50 some of them, but then you got to run the whole time. And I'm like, we don't run. I don't run. What is this running?
I want to make this mostly about the competition, but since I have you and you are an experienced ninja warrior, you've been on sets, okay? But as an athlete, I feel like the fact that there was bickering that we've seen on and off camera, I think is on both parts. But I put it more on the production team in that I don't think you guys argue with Arthur Smith, right?
Oh yeah, there's no getting to speak to the producers and go, hey, I feel like this isn't fair.
Right.
Like, okay, see ya.
Don't
see that person again.
Right. So I guess if Spartan wants to do this again and wants to be a professional sport and make the Spartan Games a thing, how do we change that?
Yeah. I mean, you have to be so sure of yourself, if not sure of the entity itself is sure, right? Like either the thing has been so established that it is inarguable, or it's the people running it are so sure of the idea that they can uphold it. It was so much new. I think it threw everyone for a little bit of a loop, and them included in that loop. We came in day one and they were talking about some, reality TV kind of stuff, and we all balked at it. And I mean, couldn't have balked at it harder. We all were immediately like, wait, what? You brought all of us athletes out here to try to make a reality TV show kind of moment out of this? Like, no one's down. And we immediately were like, I switched gears. The people that met me that first day would have been like, Grant's a real turd, because I was all happy to be there and to compete. And then all of a sudden it's a reality TV show kind of thing. And I'm like, honestly, I can't do that. I'm on contract with Ninja Warrior. I don't want to do that. And I didn't really know that I wanted to do the Spartan Games thing. I just thought it'd be a fun challenge. So now I'm in a bad place for the next 4 days. And of course, everyone having that same feeling, they just ex-nayed it all. They just immediately were like, okay, like we just, we're just feeling this out. We're trying to figure it out. And they had a lot of those moments. And I will say, it's hard. It's hard to do what they did. And they did do a really good job of like rolling with the punches of some of the things that came up, because they planned as best they could. And then they rolled with the rest of it. So I honestly think they did a great job.
Well, and that is why we watch Ninja Warrior, in that, yes, there are far too many which member of my family has cancer backstories. At the end of the day, you make it on the course or you fall in the water, right? It is a binary situation. And that's why people come back and watch it, and maybe they skip some of the backstories that get too long. But I can watch these people, some become my favorite athletes, but even if they're not, I just watch these people do this amazing thing. Like, how the heck did that guy get from here to here, kind of thing. But that does ask a question. I know that A&W does have you guys on a pretty tight leash. Do you have to make a phone call before you went to, like, I saw you at TMX a couple years ago before you came to this? Do you have to make a phone call and be like, ring-a-ding, can I try to compete for money?
Hello. Banana phone. Yeah, so the first thing that people don't understand about American Ninja Warrior is we do not get paid.
Correct.
There's no payment to do any of it. I mean, I've been doing it for 6 years, and even if you win, and I've won some stops, I've even won German Ninja Warrior, the whole celebrity edition of the show, and it was all for charity. People don't understand. All of that was for charity. And like, I have people come up to me at the grocery store, and this one guy, bless his heart, comes up to my car, and he just is this big Russian guy. And I'm thinking, like, at first I see him and I'm like, okay, like, what's going on? He gets closer and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling loose. I think I'm probably gonna fight this guy. I don't know what he's trying to run up on me for. And he goes, hey. I was like, yeah, and I can't do a Russian accent, but he's like, are you an American Ninja Warrior? And I was like, yeah, man. He goes, oh, I didn't think you'd drive that car. Just walks off. And I was like, cool, man. I like my 98 RAV4 that's paid off, but whatever, right? Like, but it just alludes to this thing that people think about the show and they don't realize too. We sign a contract every year that says we will do no other reality TV shows for a year, because that's how they get us is that they don't call it a competition. They call it a reality TV show. And so they don't have to pay us whatever loophole of the industry it is. I don't know, but we don't get paid. So yeah, it's I do have to ask and talk to him and say, hey, can I kind of sidestep around this and do this? Because we're allowed to do competitions. We're just not allowed to do other reality TV show stuff. So I've been able to do, Tough Mudder X and go on other shows that are on NBC. Like when I did the Ellen show, that was an easy one because they were like, sure, NBC, go for it. But they've stopped a lot of people from doing things too. Sucks.
Grant McCartney, in my country, your car is piece of shit.
Yeah, I was like, dang, dog.
Was that it? Was that what it was like?
Way better accent, definitely. And I was like,
we drive that car in Siberia.
I was like, dang, dog, you don't even know me like that. Don't come here to diss on my car. It's paid off though.
I'm with you, my friend. We have 2 cars. Both are paid off. Both are like hunks of junk, and I love it. And it's like, until my kids are old enough to not destroy it, it's A to B is what it's all about. So let's talk about day 3. I almost said Titan Games, Spartan Games.
I might have to do Titan Games. Anyways,
that's an NBC property. You can do that one.
I'm just saying, we're moving on though.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm not.
I don't know how to even use. Look at it. I'm like, try talking to the non-microphone side. Like, no. Anyways,
so you wake up and they go or the night before they go A wrestling in the Under Armour Body Lounge. They say Body Armor, Under Armour. What is it called?
I don't know. Underarm deodorant, I think was.
Body Armor is the drink. Body Armor Lounge. Hey, tomorrow's going to be wrestling and running. And you're like, okay, I'm probably going to be good at one of those things.
Yeah, I'm going to crush one of these
So we
You know,
saw so we saw you guys like learning about it. Talk to me about what happened that night when the cameras went off. Like
yeah.
talk to me how that went the night before.
Well, I'm not a wrestler. I've wrestled people at different venues for reasons that aren't uh, scholastic. What is it when athletic based? You know what I mean? I've been in a tussle or two, and I played rugby, so you know I'm not afraid of contact. But the thing is, the rugby after rugby practice, all of the wrestlers would start to try to wrestle me, and they'd always win because I didn't know at the time how to use my body, and I was like, okay, I need to remember what I'm doing here. And of course, I pull Curtis. They didn't show that I pulled him to wrestle first, and I'm like, all right,
Beast, the beast himself.
yeah, it's 7 a.m. I slept maybe 4 hours last night after biking 6 hours, which I've never done that before. My legs are shot, and I got to wrestle this NFL player. I'm like, let's party, right? I'm like, okay, let's party. And yeah, as soon as they announced it, I wasn't nervous or worried. Like, I don't mind contact, and I don't mind like, you know, people wrestling, touching my face, scratching, pulling. Like, I'm not going to hold it against anyone. You know, some people they're not used to contact, and they were wanting to take it personally. And you go, it's just the way it is. You rest a little bit. Like Hunter, when me and him were wrestling, again, I don't know how to wrestle, right? I am full on like, I'm thinking I'm just holding him at bay while we're wrestling, and I'm really just digging my hand into his throat, and it's great control. Like, it's essentially I'm choke holding him at distance while we're wrestling, and I don't know that's cheating. I don't know that's not allowed. And fortunately, Hunter's cool and was like, you know, after that point, hey, no, put your hands there. And I was like, oh, my bad. Like, I don't know. And Hunter didn't be like, I can't believe it. He was just like, okay. But Hunter won the match. So, I mean, I'm sure he wasn't bummed because of that, but like, I had to learn a lot of that stuff. And I asked the wrestler coach, I'm like, how do I do these things? And they didn't show my wrestle against Isaiah. Was it Isaiah?
Isaiah wasn't there.
The Xterra.
Max?
No, the Xterra.
Josiah?
Josiah. It was Josiah.
Isaiah,
Wrestling?
Josiah.
See, kind of. He was the man too. He was a super fit athlete, real wiry, lean. And as I go to wrestle him, he just knows how to move, right? And I'm like, this is exactly what I wish I could do with my body. In the way he's so strong for his size, he made me like slip and touch my hand down and scored the first point. If you score the first point and
You
no
win
one
a
else
tie.
scores, you win. So I was like, and then I like just eventually just like picked him up and just was like, you need to go out of the ring. But I mean, it was a very technique kind of wrestling thing, and I thought it was a cool, you know, add-on. Again, not my strength though. I wish they would have done something that, I don't know, dead hang contest for time or something, where I could like, I don't know. But it was cool. I liked it, and Curtis was actually real cool about it too. We wrestled twice. I got the best of him the first one, and he got best of me the second one. And I mean, yeah, we were homies because we were right next to each other in the barn. So,
Well, you finished fourth in that one.
yeah, dude, I'm getting no points throughout. Like,
Well, I
I
mean, it's
consistently
something.
landed right in the middle of everything where there's no points awarded. You had to get top 3 to really get any points.
To get any real points, right?
Yeah.
So now you're going into a 6-hour run, which not everybody had to do entire 6 hours, but the way early on that the obstacle racers were talking about it, they were actually a little bit complainy, saying like, oh, well, the minimum amount was not that hard. And it's like, well, the minimum amount took you 4.5 hours. So
Yeah.
that's not nothing. Like, I'll give you that. I think less than 4 hours would be a little bit cheating, but to get the 3 laps, it took you guys a really long time. I expected there to be these mass, you know, like 2-hour loops or like 2 hours and you got to quit, but that wasn't the case. I can actually pull up the thing in front of me, but so talk to me about it. Starts and you're in your mind where you're like, okay, I probably got to do at least 3 of these. Like, what were you thinking?
Well, I mean, like I said, you know, they asked me in an interview. I said, I'm here to make myself proud. Like, I've never done any of this to this capacity, and so at no point did I ever go like, I just got to do this to get by. And that's probably one way that played out to my detriment was on the run. So when I started the swim, first off, it was 45-minute swim. I was like, I have no clue. I'm just guessing. I'm like, I got to swim for 45 minutes. I'll swim 2 miles. So that's this many laps. I think it was 14 laps I had to do. And I don't know how fast I had to go. I didn't do the math. I was just like, it's time. And I'm just head down swimming. And I'm doing this too because I can't swim straight. And I'm on lap 12. And then they get me out of the water. Someone grabs me. And they're like, it's over. And I'm like, what? And they're like, you just swam an extra lap. You didn't have to. Time ended a while back. And I was like, I in my mind, I'm just doing what I decided, right? I have to do that to be able to mentally maintain for these endurance events. I decide something, and then it just becomes time between then and there. We just work on your mindset to be positive. And so on the bike, I did the same. I picked I just said, I'm gonna do as many as I can do. I tried to pace some people, couldn't maintain. I had to get off the bike and run most of it, run up hills. And I remember Karina was like, she saw me get up and run up these hills every time I'd have to run up hills because my legs just didn't have that drive uphill power. And she's like, you're a hustler, Grant, way to go. I was like, this is all I got. All I got is hustle out here. So when it came to the run, I was like, I'm going to run a marathon. Again, only ever ran a marathon distance once just to see if I could, like 4 years ago, something, where I just marked out 13 miles, ran out to that, and then ran back just to see if I could do it. I was alone, and I just wanted to see if it was possible. I did no training for it. So I was like, okay, I can do that distance, but I've never ran 5,000 feet of elevation and a marathon. So I was like, I'm just going to run till the time's up. Where it went to my detriment was the minimum was 3 laps. I could have stopped at 3 laps and gotten the same place that I got. But did I stop?
No, I'm looking at this. So
did I stop?
No, you did not stop, Grant. You ran as long as everyone. You ran longer than everyone except for Josiah, who really get it so he could get that 7th lap.
Yeah.
And you got 2 points.
And it didn't matter.
But you gave your best.
Run that extra 10 miles.
But it does to you though, Grant.
It did. The way it played out, they didn't show was I came down and Herman was waiting on me on my 4th lap. So I ran my 3 and it was like 2 hours left and I knew I could do a lap in an hour or so. So I was like, oh, here we go. And took off for another one. And then Herman was waiting at the bottom of the hill to see if I would do one more. Because if I did one more, he'd have to do one more.
Right.
So I could beat him just by doing one more, right? I get there and I'm like, getting my little cookies, and I don't know how to nutrition. I'm literally eating cookies and candy. I have Reese's.
For really long runs, that actually isn't a bad strategy.
Well, I'll tell you what I was doing. I was eating Reese's Outrageous. I was drinking all kinds of
you should get a little bit of protein and a little bit of, but other than that, like you could just pound sugar and carbs and it'll kind of keep you going for a while.
It worked for a little while, and then I felt like I was like drunk. Honestly, I felt like it was like,
oh, you were wobbly at the end, dude. Did you see that? Did you see that on the show? I was like, he's gonna fall over.
I saw it in real life. About a mile out to the finish, it got weird in the woods. That's what they did not film, is when my body shut down, because I'm keen to just tell my body, hey, this is what we're doing. Nutrition gave out. Like it'd been the first time I had hit a wall that like I was out of the reserve. I was out of the reserve. It was just like I just full on zombie like through the last mile, and I was in a weird place, big weird.
Well, for future reference, you need, they say, like a couple 100 calories an hour. So take your snacks, but then take some with you. So halfway through the loop, you can take some more. That's how you kind of avoid the bonking. But listen, you have access to, much better athletes. Like you talk to, Ryan, Josiah, and Aaron and Wardy, and they'll tell you the same thing and more. But just for future reference, bring the snacks with you, and then you can fuel up as you go. So how did Herman beat you then, if he was waiting for you?
He was waiting for me, and he was like, oh, we're both going to call it here, right? And I just went. It just took off running for another lap, like for no reason, 0 reason at all. It did me no good. It made him run another one. He would run up ahead of me. and he would stop and look and see if I kept going. He'd run up ahead of me, stop and look. And he did that all the way up the mountain. And then by the time you're at the top, you have to come back down anyway. So he just ran back down. But it was like, I didn't need to do that. And what happened the next morning? Well, I'm going to not say that.
Thank you so much for watching. We've got a lot more great content here on the YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome. There'll be a nice video here that we suggest for you to watch, but also check out our Instagram and our newspaper articles, which there isn't because there's no such thing as a newspaper, but go to our website because you know that's what I meant. All right. Love you. Miss you. Mean it. I got to run.